In this video, we'll take a look at the UltraRacer 64 steering wheel controller for the Nintendo 64. If you're like me, the exposure to video games started young. I grew up with and vaguely remember playing mini CD-ROM games with my dad on our home computer, playing classics like Lego Island and even Freelancer when I was a bit older, but more often than not we played racing games like the original Need for Speed Most Wanted, Porsche Unleashed, Viper Racing, and the original Motocross Madness. But we didn't usually play with a keyboard. No. If you played PC games in the late 90s, early 2000s, you likely owned at least one strange gamepad. For us, this was the UltraRacer PC controller. It had a few face buttons and a trigger on the back, but the key feature was the steering wheel to grant better inputs in racing games. As a kid it was my normal, but as an adult I have to admit this was a strange looking controller. About a year ago, remembering its looks, I went on a nostalgia hunt, trying to remember its name so I could perhaps find one on eBay for sale or something, and after a couple hours of looking like I was searching for Pepe Silvia, I finally found it, even finding out it had alternative versions for both the PlayStation 1 and the Nintendo 64. Although I was young, I can also remember gaming on the N64, playing our copy of Cruisin' USA using that iconic Trident controller. Fast forward to the present day, and like many right now, I'm sitting around in self-isolation when nostalgia hits me again. I revisited my old friend eBay and looked for the N64 variant of the UltraRacer controller, and a copy of Cruisin' USA. I made the purchases and awaited the mailman. Luckily enough, and for not too bad a price, I scored two new in-box UltraRacer 64 controllers that I was very excited to open up, experience, and enjoy. The N64 UltraRacer controllers aren't any less strange to look at than the OG 64 controllers, in all honesty. Definitely a product of their time. The shape of the controller actually reminds me of just the center grip of the Nintendo 64 controller. Just as the PC version did, they feature the all-important analog steering wheel, an A-B throttle trigger on the back, fire buttons on the face of the controller, and they even fit the directional C buttons on the top of the steering wheel here. There are also gray buttons beneath the wheel that serve as the D-pad's inputs for menus, and a slider on the side to toggle the A-B trigger. If that wasn't enough, you can also reprogram or remap buttons using the set input at the bottom of the controller. The UltraRacer 64 does also feature a slot beneath for a memory card or rumble pack, but I did note it was a tighter fit than most controllers. I feel that the construction is done well here. None of it feels cheap or like it will break easily, though I do think the foam material choice for the steering wheel grip could have been better. From memory, our PC variant of the controller had a nicer rubber grip on the wheel, and out of what I can gather from looking at pictures online, the UltraRacer PC controller may have actually had both rubber and foam grips at different times. The PlayStation variant, however, did share the same foam grip as seen here on the N64 controller. Okay, I just want to point out that actually while looking through pictures for making this video, I have noticed that there were foam and rubber iterations of every version of the UltraRacer controller. N64, PS1, and PC have all at some point had foam wheels and rubber wheels. Don't exactly know the differences or why that happened, but worth noting, I guess. But how good is it really, you're probably asking? Well, actually, it's pretty great. It's obviously unique and may have a slight learning curve, but the better steering precision thanks to the analog wheel input does make a big difference. Trying it on Mario Kart was a no-brainer, and the experience was excellent. Steering is much more precise, and after getting used to the input range, it's a ton of fun. In Diddy Kong Racing, you can't really use this for flying planes due to the nature of the wheel's inputs being limited to left and right, but it's otherwise a good improvement for the karts and especially for the hovercrafts. Of course, I had to try it with Cruisin' USA and San Francisco Rush to see how it fared with more arcade racing titles, and it still played very well. This controller can really shine more with sim-style racing games such as Top Gear Rally, and as expected, I found a continued, and in this specific case large, improvement over the original controller. I do want to note I have also heard that this controller is the be-all best controller for F-Zero X, but I unfortunately don't have a copy of that to test myself. I can, however, say this controller is fantastic for pod racing and may even be a definitive choice for Star Wars Racer. Overall, I personally think that using the UltraRacer 64 is easily an improvement to playing most racing games on the system over the standard issue 64 controller, mainly due to the steering wheel just simply being a step above the plastic-on-plastic joystick in responsiveness, input precision, and feel. My only personal gripes are that the travel on the A-B trigger could be shorter, and the foam grip around the wheel is a little hard, but that could honestly just be from age. This controller is over 20 years old after all. Those are small complaints, however, and that said, I think that using the UltraRacer is already my new go-to for most racing titles on the N64, especially now that I have two to share. It provides a different and fun way to play and offers a much more precise input that you will not find with an original N64 controller, though, that said, I'm sure that I will still find myself using the old Trident from time to time. Oh, and by the way, I definitely got my dad to sit down and play Cruisin' USA using the UltraRacer 64 with me while putting this together, and damn, that was a fun trip down memory lane for the both of us. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this type of content from me, as I hope to maybe do more videos like this in the future. In fact, if you're interested, you can tap that thing in the top right corner of the video to check out another retrospective I did. Leave a like if you liked it, subscribe if you're interested in more, and I will catch you next time.